Good evening, and welcome to this week's Black Mental Health is Black Health. I'm your host, Bronwyn Lucas, Miss B for short, and we have several exciting women tonight who are going to talk about Black women's stuff. What does that stuff represent? You're going to find out in just a minute. But before we get started and before I have them introduce themselves, we're going to do our breathing. If it's the first time you've ever watched us, we start the show with some deep breathing. Why? Because by the end of the day, you probably need a moment to just decompress. And it will show you that at any given time, you can just do some deep breathing and feel a little better. So let's give it a try. And here's how we're going to do it. When I say breathe in, you're going to do it slowly, and I'm going to count to four, and that's how slowly you're going to breathe in. Then I'll say breathe out, and I'll count to four, very slow, and you'll breathe out very slow. So put your hands lightly on your stomach because you're going to breathe in so deeply, you're going to feel your stomach expand. You're not going to breathe in just to your chest. This is a real deep breath. So let's practice it. Breathe in, two, three, four, out. Two, three, four. In, two, three, four, out. Two, three, four. In, two, three, four. Hold. Two, three, four, out. Two, three, four. That's just our moment of zen, our moment of peace. How was that moment of breathing for you, ladies?
Good.
It
Good.
felt amazing.
All right. And that's something you can do. Let's say you're driving in traffic and you don't want to be the angry driver. You might need a moment. You can just breathe. Somebody gets on your nerve. Just take a few deep breaths. It cleanses your mind. It allows you to just have that woo-saw moment. Well, tonight's topic is um, Black women stuff. And what is stuff? Stuff stands for we are strong, tough, unique, fearful, and fearless. Yeah, both fearful and fearless. We're gonna figure out how does that work? Because that is what we are. That is who we are. So tonight we are joined by several ladies, and I'll just call them how they are on the screen. So I want you to tell us your name, something cool about yourself, and I'll leave it at that. So Anaya, who you are, what you're doing in life, all that good stuff.
Okay, so I'll just do my college greeting. So greetings. I'm Anaya Anderson Cooper, a third year pre-physical therapy scholar, hailing from Houston, Texas, by way of Dubai, and I attend the Florida Agricultural Mechanical University, and I'm minoring in military science. That's a little bit about me, and one cool thing about me is I have over 100 stamps in my passport.
That is unique. That is cool. You'll have to tell us about that. Erica.
My name is Erica Copeland Malone, and I work for the state of Wisconsin Child Welfare Program, where I write curriculum for adoptive, foster, and relative parents across the state. And one cool thing about me is that I am willing to learn and do almost anything. I'm down for an adventure.
Cool. Amber.
Hello, my name is Amber Morris, and I work for the state of Texas. Um, Nothing extravagant, but I work for the state, so that's amazing. Okay, but something cool about me is I never meet a stranger.
That is true. Yes. And Tony.
Well, good evening. My name is Dr. Tony Renee Henson, and I say that with great pride because the cool thing about me is just a few days ago, on December 18th, I completed my doctoral degree in education. And on that very same day, my third grandson was born. Very same day. Wrong day. May. That was May, just a few days ago.
I was
The baby is
thinking
3 weeks old.
December.
Good thing I have listeners. It's like, I don't think it was December. It was May. So that's my cool fact.
Awesome. And that is a cool fact. That was a very special day. So tonight's topic is Black women's stuff. And so I'll just ask you, I came up, I kind of saw stuff as strong, tough, unique, fearful, and fearless. When you just hear that, what is that? What bell does that ring? I don't know. Somebody share. Amber, what do you think about that acronym?
Stuff. I think, especially, when you said fearful and fearless, those kind of resonated with me a lot because as Black women, we have a lot of things to fear. We put a lot of fear in people for whatever reason. And fearless is because we go through life and we make it happen. Regardless of what obstacles we have standing in our way, regardless of what we're going through, we still make it happen through the fear. So it makes us fearless.
I love it. I love it. And that's kind of what I was thinking, that we are both fearful and fearless. It's just who we are and who we have to be. So, yeah. Somebody else, what do you think about that?
I think it just talks to how multi-layered and multifaceted we are, and how many roles and how many hats we carry, and
Mhm.
the intersectionality of a Black woman, being Black, being a woman, being educated, being whatever it is you are. Stuff represents all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Mhm.
good. Tony, what about you?
So what comes to mind is the strong part. I think Black women are strong. I think the song or the saying that says "I'm gonna be all right" describes a Black woman in any circumstance. I think the fearless and fearful describes how we go through. We are fearful inside, almost like the duck. Underneath the water, the duck is moving fast, but on the surface, it looks cool as a cucumber. And I think that kind of describes a Black woman in a
Mm,
nutshell.
I like that analogy.
Mhm.
Anaya, what about you?
When I think about the acronym stuff, to me, like everyone mentioned, it just truly embodies Black women to me. Growing up, my mother was the matriarch of my life, growing up in a single parent home. So just having that firsthand experience of seeing how life can change in the flip of a dime, and just seeing how her faith and her upbringing, she was able to stay steadfast and just continue to provide for us. So that's what it is to me.
Cool. Now, when I thought about that acronym, it just kind of came to me like right away. What words do I think? And I feel like all of them do encompass who we are as Black women, and we are unique. We're unique as a group. We're unique individually. You guys have touched on all the others, and and we're tough. And tough could mean like strong, tough, or we just tough. We got it going on. Um, but when I think about that, well, let me ask you, because so many questions come to mind, even just using that acronym. We talked about being fearful and fearless. What are your fears? Do you have any fears? Erica, you got any fears?
I definitely do. Um, my biggest fear is not being able to support my family. And by family, I mean my children and husband, but I also mean my parents, because that'll be what's next, a part of what's next for me. And just being able to take care of everyone's needs and put all the pieces in place and making sure that everybody is good. And that's one of the things that I'm fearful of, not being able to do that, especially at the level that I've been able to do it up to this point.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Anaya? At your age, are there any fears you have?
Yes, as a college student, I'm fearful of disappointing my family while I'm away at school in another state. I'm also fearful of the future. A lot of times jobs aren't guaranteed upon graduation after you walk the stage. And even though I'm going to the Army as an officer when I graduate, I'm fearful of what comes with that. I know we've all heard the rumors about the things that happen to women in the armed services. So just fearful of the future and the present as well.
Mm. Tony.
So for me, the next stage is retirement, and what retirement brings is fearful. I don't know, I don't know. So that stage of life, that next stage, brings a set of fear.
Mm. Amber, what about you?
My fear is being a mother, a single mother to a little Black boy, and all the things that go along with that. Having to explain to him, you can't wear your hoodie in public, or you can't move too fast, or you can't look suspect, and even with him being young, that's still my fear, because what's too young to talk to your kids about the brutality that Black people as a race face? What's too young to explain to them that not all police are good?
And when I hear your fears, all different, but there's some commonalities. And one thing I hear about family, even Tony, you talked about retirement, but when you retire, it impacts the family. And so I can see that there is a thread. And mine, I can echo a lot of what you're saying. The caregiver, um, being a mom. So Amber, I'm on the other end. I'm a mom of a 20-year-old. And at 20, you've grown and not grown. I know now you think you've really grown, but you're grown and not fully grown, and you're at your beginning life. And the same, no, you don't need to wear no hoodie walking down the street. And that's a shame, and those simple little things do make you worry when your kids go out. So yeah, those are concerns. Those are fears. What could happen? And I hear, though, that common theme that seems to be that no matter what stage we're in life, family is important, because everything I heard, and from Anaya not wanting to disappoint family, Erica wanting to support family, Tony retiring, and that impacts her, but she's not in it alone. It impacts family. Amber thinking about her son. So, we can look at it, and it's different as we are. There are commonalities. And like I say, one of them I see is we care about family. And our fears, it's interesting, in our fears, though, relate to family. You want to have that hope and that dream for your family. But man, it's about some fear. I don't know. What do you guys think about that commonality? Had you thought about how we're any
I think,
comments?
I'm sorry. I think that as everyone is speaking, you could agree with them because in some way, that's something you either feared or are still fearful of. It may not be the largest one, but I have daughters, Black daughters,
Mm-hmm.
who are impacted the same way Amber is impacted, or I have something to look forward in retirement the same way Tony does. And so it's not surprising that our fears have a commonality or a common thread, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just a part of all of us, the things that we experience.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one. Anybody else think about that?
I hadn't put it into perspective, but I think that it goes along with the topic stuff. There's so
Mm-hmm.
much stuff that we think about. There's so much stuff that we have to deal with. There's just stuff, Black women stuff.
Mm-hmm. And we can't avoid having stuff.
No.
Right.
What came to your mind? And you laughed at that one. So what came to mind? It brought a smile to your face. So tell us about that.
Um, just hearing that no matter where we are in life, there's always something to fear, and yet there's always something to smile at as well. Because looking back, I know there was stuff that I thought I wasn't gonna make it through, and there was stuff I thought I wasn't going to be able to get over. And just like looking back and being able to say like I got through that, it brings.
Mm-hmm. Mm, good one. Tony, any comments on? You're on mute. Mouth moving. You're on mute. Okay.
Hey, I'm all in it. I can relate to everything I'm hearing sounds real. And one of the things that I can respect from all the ladies on the panel is that they are being authentic. So I really appreciate that in everyone's perspective. So that really is. I don't necessarily have a response, but that's the feeling you see over my face.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, the first word I chose in stuff was strong. I'm going to go lay. I'm not going to comment yet. When you hear that, Tony, you talked about it earlier about us being strong Black women. You know, we have to be strong. What does that make the rest of you feel when you hear strong? Tony, you unmuted. You ready to say something? Tell us about this strong Black woman.
Um, I shared earlier, if I had a theme song, it really would be that I'm gonna be all right. I like the term Black Girl Magic. I like that it alludes to we can do it. We can do whatever we put our minds to. Erica said earlier about being able to do anything she studies. She can do whatever she wants to do. So I think that that really is what strong is in any situation. Dealt whatever hand there is, we will persevere. We'll come out on top.
Okay. Amber, what do you think about strong Black woman?
I think um, being strong, I think we kind of hit on it a little bit. Um, it's a blessing and a curse simply because you can be so strong for so long until you don't have enough to go on. And then you have the other side of that where you're strong because it's all you know how to be, you know. And so it's like you've had to be strong for so long and all these years because of all these different things and all this stuff that you're like, oh, who can I call on? I need somebody to be strong for me. So it can be a blessing and a curse. You can be way too strong, or you can be strong and not want to reach out for help.
Yes, you hit my point. Oh, you got it. But I'm going to let Erica and Anaya speak. But I am so on the page with you. It's a blessing and a curse.
Mm-hmm. And
So,
it's backbreaking and it's hard and it's a heavy load. And I heard someone recently say, check on your strong friends because we carry a lot. And
Mhm.
it's like the analogy, if you have a plate with too much food, stuff starts to fall off. And so being strong is one thing, but being strong to a point where you're starting to lose it or let things fall apart, then that's one of the things that is going to affect us all negatively. I mean, like Amber said, we don't sometimes don't have a choice but to be strong, but that's hard. It's tiring. And it's not something that we signed up for necessarily. It's something that we were taught.
Mhm.
Anaya, it's your age. What do you see as a strong Black woman? You talked about your mom being that role model for you, but what do you see as the role of being a strong Black woman? But I am so on the page.
Have a choice but to be strong. But that's hard.
Firstly, I can definitely agree with everyone's statements about what being strong looks like to them. I think when I think about what strong looks like in my age, it's beyond physical. Like we were talking about mental and emotional strength. I think strength for a strong black woman happens at a younger age than it should. We're taught
Mhm.
about our bodies and how powerful they are when we're just children. And then growing up and encountering things where we have to be strong at an age and a time when we shouldn't have to be stronger than our counterparts and our peers. So at my age, to me, strength, it's all of these things. Going through life away from home and having to do things that and having to go through things that you might not want to be strong enough to tell your parents or my mom, but learning how to live through that and being strong for myself before I'm strong for anyone else. That's what it looks like.
Mm. And I see it definitely as a blessing and a curse. Yes, the blessing that we have the ability to do it. But like you all hit on, um, the other side to that is we are viewed as this strong, being. And in that, we don't get to be vulnerable.
Hmm.
And we're not even vulnerable with ourselves, with each other, because we're so busy being strong. And that's not necessarily a good thing. Even in the medical profession, and study after study talks about this, how Black women are treated differently. Because, oh, yeah, we can handle pain differently. Pain is pain.
Mhm.
And it really didn't know any color. But medicine prescribed differently, just treated differently at the doctor because of your color. So that's part of the negative side to that strength. Um, and going back to the not being able to be vulnerable, then if I'm so busy being strong, like you said, Erica, it's the plate is full, stuff is falling off, and you're still holding on to this plate when stuff shouldn't be falling off, it should be taken off. We take on too much, and even thinking about the fears that we talked about, we're taking on those fears um, because we're strong. I've got to take care of the family, and we do, but because we're strong. I can't let my parents down. I've got to protect my child. I've got to get ready for retirement because I have to have a plan, because women have to have a plan. We have to, and we impose all of this on ourselves under the guise of being this strong Black woman. Sometimes we need to take that. I call that S on your chest is really the silly woman, because we're silly to think we can be the solo woman and do it all. And sometimes that strong Black woman doesn't allow us to ask for help. I don't know.
So,
What do you
Bro,
guys think?
I think our parents didn't necessarily have outlets. However,
Mhm.
I think we have learned to have outlets. We've learned to run, jump, climb, sauna, massages, whatever it takes. So I think we have a period in which we release, unwind, indulge in self care. And I think that takes the place of what you're talking about when you talk about vulnerability. I think we do have an outlet, and that makes us the whole woman or the whole package.
But so many of us don't exercise those outlets, and that's one of the things I see, in my practice. People who don't feel they have those outlets because they're so busy being the strong woman. I don't have time for me. I routinely have a handout called "Are you self-compassionate enough?" And whoo, people don't score high on that. And what it's looking at is basically self-care from a self-compassion, point of view. And so often we forget we can take care of ourselves. Erica, you were shaking your head earlier. What were you thinking when I said that?
Two thoughts came to mind. One is, it's hard for the strong person, the person that's carrying so much weight, to have time to do those outlets. I'd love to have my nails done and my hair done and take time to get a massage, but I need some more hours in the day to do that. Sometimes that's what it feels like. And I also think that, there are so many expectations above and beyond strong. We have to be strong. We have to be sensual. We have to be understanding, loving, kind. There are so many layers to it. But in all of those things, we have to be strong. And I feel like that's the part where some of that extra stuff gets lost, because I want to be strong and have a massage, Dr. Tony.
But it comes to finding there are only going to be 24 hours in that day,
Mhm.
Always.
and understanding that 10 minutes of that 24 hours needs to be yours.
Mhm.
And that's where, like you said, Tony, we've got to stop. And, the outlets are there, but it's hard. I don't know. Amber, you're a mom, and I know you do a lot with your son. Amber's like, but it takes 8 days a week. He's got activities. And yes, they're only 7. We know that. But he's got activities 8 days a week, it feels like, as a single mom. So I don't know. What do you think about this whole self compassionate deal?
I think a lot of times we don't give ourselves enough grace. I don't think that we appreciate where we are. I don't think that we take the time to acknowledge that, you know what, today I did a good job. Even if that meant, you didn't do much of anything. Today I did a good job, because sometimes you do need that self-care day where you do absolutely nothing. When my son is 7, so he's active, I keep him active so that his mind will stay focused on the positive and not the negatives of the world. So he's super active during the week. And I'm super drained because I just want to come home and rest. But I was just telling my mom recently, I feel like when I get off work, I'm like, boom, 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 boom. I got to do this. I got to do this. Now I got to do this. Now I got to do this. So by the time it's me time, it's like 9, 10 o'clock at night. And then I realize that I'm up scrolling. And I've spent the last hour just scrolling, just trying to find my me time, because that time is important. Because I heard someone say just yesterday, I have to pour into myself in order for me to be able to pour into someone else. I have to make sure that I'm full so that I'm able to share that with someone else. And I need to always feel like that. So that's just how I feel about it.
As a college student, do you have me time? Because if you start now, maybe by the time you're the age of everybody else here, you'll have it down to a science. But do you?
I can say that definitely this year, especially this semester, I definitely struggled a lot with me time. One of the hardest things I'm still learning how to do is saying no. And I think, as simple as that may sound, some of my friends, they can say no in a heartbeat. But for me, I grew up watching my mom give to so many people. I grew up watching my family always be there. So it wasn't in my vocabulary for a long time, and it wasn't until I got to college and I'm like, I'm a student, I'm a part-time soldier, I had a job. So just realizing I have all this stuff on my plate, and it's like, at the end of the day, how Miss Amber was saying, when she gets home and she's like, where's my me time? But finding the energy to have me time, and that sounds crazy to me, because it should be your time. It should be, you should know how to spoil yourself. You know yourself because you are yourself. But having no energy, no more mental. I learned that it's not just physical. Like, it's not just spending money on yourself. It's learning myself, going on dates with myself, and it's like, I don't even have time in my 24 hours to learn more about myself, because I'm always catering to someone else and hearing their trauma and trying to work through their problem. And it's like, well, who's gonna hear my stuff? Who's gonna help me carry my stuff and work through my stuff? I'm trying to learn how to find the self and me time, but it's a hard lesson to learn, even at my age.
And the sad thing is, younger and younger, and we can see across generations, we're not taking that me time. And at 20, it's time to learn to do it so it becomes a habit. And yes, learning to say no. I don't know, ladies, anybody else on here got issues with saying no or have ever had issues? When you learn to say it, it's a powerful word.
It is full.
No is a complete sentence. I
I
love
like
that
to say, I don't know.
sentence. Why not say no?
Because no just seems so harsh. I don't
But
know. Like,
sometimes,
I've always been that person. I don't know.
well, here's another take on that. I don't know leaves the other person thinking there's a possibility. When your I don't know really means, no, I'm not doing
No.
that. I'm going to tell you no. So then you leave the other person thinking that it's a possibility that you're going to come through, when no can be an honest answer. No. And not, maybe not just no, although I say no is a complete sentence. No, I'm not able to do it. Or no, with an explanation. Tony, I saw you took your mind. She's ready to jump in. Come on.
No, I was looking at the ladies with shake their heads
Mhm.
no, and I was wondering if it was a generational thing. Like for me, I know what my mission and my daily goals are. And if whatever is being asked of me align with that, then the answer is quickly yes. And if it doesn't, then the answer is no. And I don't know, I can't reflect, Anaya, if in my 20s I had that same drive if I knew. But I can certainly say where I am now. If it doesn't align, then the answer is no. And if it aligns, the answer is yes.
Erica, what about you and the word no?
I have a tendency not to say no, and sometimes that gets me in trouble because I say yes to the big things. It's not just a little bit of, can you drive me here? It's people ask me things that go way out of my way or above and beyond, and I'm getting used to the word no, but it's baby steps. And I started where Anaya was when I was in college, just saying yes and trying to be a people pleaser. Now I've learned I don't have enough in me to please every person, but I'm still working on saying no.
And it can be a difficult one. Someone commented, no is not a negative response. And I agree. No is an honest response.
Mhm.
And when we're able to say, no, I can't do that. I'm not able to do it. Either I don't have the time. You're honoring yourself, and you are, that goes back to that myth of the strong Black woman because we're so strong, we can do everything. No, you can't. That's why I say that S on the chest is not strong. It's silly because you cannot do it all. And to
No.
say no is just an honest answer to what's going on. So it's like, no, don't think so. Not today.
Can I add this too? And
Mhm.
sometimes when you say yes to so many things and then you cannot fulfill that obligation, then people start to look at you as, she's not truthful, or, whatever,
Mhm.
however they look at you, it's a negative because you tried to help somebody and weren't able to fulfill that, request. And then they just start to look at you differently. And it's very hard because you tried, well, I have tried to please so many people to sometimes it's just not a possibility, and then it makes me look bad. So I am learning no.
And when you do that, the other person can think you lied to them.
Mm-hmm.
And in a sense, you did because you said you could do this and you don't do it. So now you lied to me and I can't trust you.
Right.
Another benefit to being able to say no. But I get it. I have not always been where I could say no. In younger years, and you get old, it's like, they're 24 hours in a day. I need some of them for me. And I always remind people that, there's that whole, if you've ever been on a plane, what do they say when you get ready to fly? If the air mask comes down, whose face do you put it on first?
Yours.
Yourself.
Why? Why do you put it on your own first?
So you can help save whoever's next.
Thank you. Because if you aren't safe, you can't take care of the person you're going to take care and you need to take care of. So you have
Mhm.
to take care of yourself first. You take care of you, then you're better able to take care of other people. And that's what sometimes is no. Is no. Just no. It's a complete sentence. It's not a negative response. It's an honest response. And you also, one other thing about no, when you're busy saying yes to everything, there may be someone who's better qualified, better suited, and can get the job done better than you can. But you've already said yes. So you've taken that place and you're holding that place, and you're not the one who needs to be there.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I'm going to get off my soapbox about no. But as strong, tough, unique, fearful, fearless women, we got to learn that word no. Amber, not, I don't know, just no, no.
Well, one thing I'd like to add about me saying no and hearing it when I ask a question, a
Mhm.
favor or a task, I actually respect people whose yes is yes and whose
Mhm.
no is no. When you tell me you're going to do it, I like to compartmentalize it as if it is done.
Mhm.
And if you if you're wishy-washy, then you don't get to that level. And to be honest, I don't trust people who don't follow through on what they say.
Mhm. And that kind of goes with what Erica was saying. They look at you different. Yeah, I don't trust you. Like I
I
said, I'll be
can't
harsh.
trust you.
You lied to me, is what it was, because you said you're going to do it, you didn't. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not feeling you. Anaya, what were you? It looks like you're going to say something.
I was just gonna ask if I can add this. I think a part of the reason that it's so hard for people to say no is because a lot of the time it's not strangers, it's people that we love and we
Oh,
trust,
yeah.
members who ask us to do things that may make us go out of our way. So, and then that becomes hard for us to say no. And I was reading this quote the other day, and it was along the lines of allow people to reintroduce themselves to you, whether that be friends or family. And that kind of hit home for me because a lot of the times people are so used to you giving so much of yourself.
Mhm.
And when you try and implement these boundaries, it's harder for them to, if they love you, it will be easy for them. But those who kind of took advantage of that side of you, it'll be harder for them to respect and appreciate those boundaries for your own self growth.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that, Anaya. I do, because I think that that's something that I struggled with for a very long time, was setting boundaries for people. I would just, yeah, no problem. Yeah, sure. But because I didn't have boundaries for certain people, I felt like my no would be like, well, why not? And then if I say no and that's just the end of that sentence, then I feel like there's some type of animosity, and I don't need that. That's extra stuff that I don't want to have to deal with. I would just rather be like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I know it sounds crazy, but
No, I get it.
I would rather say, I don't know. And then you ask me again, and then I'll be like, probably not. I'm never going to leave you hanging. I mean, I'm going to eventually give you an answer, but my no flat out the door.
And yeah, and it's go on, Tony.
No, I was just going to say, when I really can't, won't, don't, people in my circle, my friends, my family, I explain the follow on so that it's not like I can't because I don't want to, because so that they understand. And I think it really is an age thing. If they don't understand, I'm not going to get wrapped up in the drama, because I really have to make a decision and a plan in which I can follow and support.
And I think a lot of it, you guys mentioned, were boundaries. Boundaries are important. And when you put boundaries are not necessarily there to keep others out. Boundaries are there to protect you.
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries are there to build you up. We think of it as a wall and keeping people out. No, think of it as a protection. And when you have the proper boundary, and if somebody can't deal with your boundary, peace. That's harsh. What, Erica? I know I can be harsh.
No, I said, can I say one more thing?
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized this from what Amber said. A lot of times, me saying yes is just taking on other people's stuff. And so, then their stuff becomes my stuff, and I get tired of stuff. And so that maybe in that yes may more often have to become no, because I don't want your stuff. And I want to get to the stage where Dr. Tony is, where I can say no and not feel guilty, not feel bad, not want to back around and say, well, maybe I can. I just want to make my no.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I will put in a commercial plug here for a workshop I'm planning called The Power of No. So I will let you all know when it's coming up about how to do that. And it's not just about saying no, but about empowering yourself. But being empowered, part of that is being able to say no. So you'll hear about it in a few weeks. The power of no. Working on it's going to be virtual or in person. So I will let you know, because I think it's important. Like you said, about learning the importance of boundaries and taking care of yourself. Because you're right, and like you said, Anaya, too, it's people we love. If I don't really care about you, it's no big deal. It really isn't. No, I ain't doing that. But if it's someone that's close to me, someone I feel, you're in my inner circle. But if you're in my inner circle, I'm going back to what Tony said, then you need to understand. You need to know me well enough to know that I would do it if I could.
And I would shift my priorities for my inner circle. For instance, if Rowan called and said, hey, I need a ride to work, I know that she really needs a ride to work. It's not I'm not her first choice. I am her choice. And getting to work is important. So I'll shift my
Hmm.
I don't just say no for the
Right.
heck of it. I say no when it's appropriate to say no. Now if she says I need to get to work every Monday at 8 a.m., then we got a problem.
That's the problem. Mhm. Right. I like that analogy. Yeah, it's putting things in perspective.
Yeah.
Um, as I look at the time, we have about 5 minutes left, and the last minute is wrap up. So we're gonna start wrap up this way. I want each of you to think of one thing you want to say that could be inspiring to someone, a Black woman out there. It could be somebody in your generation or any generation, but one thing you could say to inspire someone. We've talked about being strong, the good and the bad, that we do have fears and we fear less and we fearful and we are feared, and which is another issue we didn't talk about, but all of that works into it, and we are unique and we are tough. So all that being said, what can you say as a word of inspiration? Ooh,
I
Amber?
think for me, I would say never let people's opinions and their thoughts of you determine who you are, whose you are, and where you're going in life. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters, or the only person that should matter, is you. Don't let anyone decide for you what you should be doing, what you could be doing. Just be you. Black, beautiful, bold. Never be apologetic for who you are, because you're fearfully and wonderfully made.
And Amber, when it comes to saying no, baby, think about everything you just said and turn that around to yourself. Because sometimes it's okay to be no, because you hit everything you just
Yeah,
said, girl. Think about that. That is amazing. But we give it back better than we take it. So I
absolutely.
want you to tell that to yourself. Get in the mirror after this show and tell it to yourself, because you can say no. Anaya, you were smiling real quick. So
I'm
what
not.
advice? You're like, I don't have nothing. No.
Okay.
I'm gonna come back to you then. So you
Okay.
gotta I know you have some thoughts in there, girl. Erica.
I would say that you are an asset. You are
Mhm.
valuable. As a Black woman, your presence commands attention in a room. And so I'm like, Amber, walk in with your head held high, and don't be apologetic for who you are. Yes, we are fearful. We are fearless. We are all of the above. And we hold that dear to who we are because it's a part of our makeup. And so as we learn, as we grow, as we walk, as we continue to know who we are and know whose we are, we can be strong in all of the things that we embrace. And also, our intersectionality makes a difference. Not only am I Black, I'm a woman. Not only am I a woman, I'm a mother. Not only am I a mother, I'm a daughter, and I stand strong in every single position that I hold.
I love it. We are. We are all that and more. Tony.
First, I got props to Erica. Intersectionality. I wasn't familiar with the word, but I love it and I'm going to borrow it. So I appreciate that. And for me personally, preparation is my superpower. If I
Mhm.
prepare for whatever it is, I knock it out the park. So I would like to pass that on as a secret. Like, how do I thrive in the different areas and roles I play in my life? When it's time to be on, you better believe I've been in my private corner and I've prepared. And then my second point is see yourself as God sees you. I think it was Erica again who said when she walks in a room, she commands attention and respect. God, that is how God sees you. So
Mhm.
remember that. I'm afraid to go in and ask for whatever it is. Just know that your presence already sets the tone and the stage, and walk in it because that is how God sees you. And then again, I think just to steal from Anaya, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. So just own it.
Mhm. And I will add, there is an adage: proper preparation prevents poor performance. And you think about being prepared, and it's true. It's a it's a tongue twister, but it's so true. And the more prepared we are, the calmer we can be, and the more we can get done.
Mhm.
Anaya.
Okay, I'm ready. A message I would like to leave would be to not be afraid to ask for help, kind of how what we were speaking about earlier. I know at times we have to be the woman in the poster holding up our fist, too strong and resilient and ready to overcome any and all things. But in that strength, be strong in your saying no. Take time for yourself. Even though I know some of you are mothers and we have our relatives and people who are in our inner circle who want things from us, but like we mentioned, they should understand us having to say no and having power in that no and standing on our stance for saying no and not going back on our word. And I think we owe it to ourselves as Black women to protect our peace, just protect
Mm.
ourselves and not allowing other people to indulge and take away from our boundaries and eat away at our or senses that we take in our lives, whether that be relationships or promises or things that may come and things that we may interact, just saying no and being okay with that. And being okay with saying, I am not okay with doing this. I am not okay after this happened. And taking the proper steps to heal and talk, however that healing may look for you, to just take the proper time to take care of yourself.
Awesome. I love it. And I'm going to tell you too, listen to what you said about no, turn it around to yourself as well.
Yes.
I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. I think it was an awesome conversation, and hopefully it will inspire some Black woman to be strong and be vulnerable. So if you're watching, share this on your Facebook page. It'll be on YouTube. Go and follow Black Mental Health is Black Health on YouTube. Share it out there because this is information that's designed to make you think and designed to make you a better person. I always end with a call to action, and my call to action is tonight, since it's all about Black women, know your strength, but no, you don't have to be strong 24/7. Reach out, ask for help. We are not meant to do this life alone. If you are doing it alone, find someone to do life with you. Find your support group, find your village, find your connection. These ladies here all happen to be people I know. Anaya I've known since she was in elementary school when we first met. Tony I've known all her life because she's my cousin. Erica and Amber, we attend church together and we're in a ministry together. So they're all part of my village. These are people, I called and said, "Hey, I'm doing this show. I want you on it because." So you develop that. So I want to thank you for listening today, and thank you once again, ladies. And I'm Bronwyn Lucas, the caring counselor, here to help you become a better you. If you're in need of some help, mental health help, give me a call. I may not be the therapist for you, but I'll help you find one who is. And I will see you next week. Thanks again, ladies.
Thank you, Bronwyn.
Thank you.